Hello again, Ian Stokey with Mastermind Games. This time painting one of my own Battlegrounds terrain sets. This is the Command Center, and I'm marking this video as, what's the word I'm looking for? What is it? Paid content or sponsored content, something like that, just to cover my bases because this is one of my products. So, this Command Center comes with this fortified landing pad, the actual Command Center itself, large shipping container, a terminal, wall, power generator, and forward observation post. Now I'm using Liquitex paints, which are a student grade acrylic paint. Not quite the same quality as what I typically use, but with the surface area I need to cover, using a cheaper brand is more practical. So I'm using titanium white for a start. Such lovely sounds these things make. And a bit of Mars black. Yeah, that should be more than enough. Alright, taking a palette knife. Always use a palette knife for mixing like this. A brush is going to cause problems. I've done this many times before. Just spin it around. Yeah, I am using something different than I usually do palette-wise, so I usually use a piece of glass for a palette, but this is more practical in this case. Now, using one of my larger brushes, well, actually, this brand I need a little more water than typical to thin it out enough to use. Drying time is also going to be a lot longer, but now I have, this is cast in white resin, but I also primed it in white. Now the final retail price on this is going to be, I believe, $50. A set of 7 pieces. And the molds on this gave me quite a bit of trouble because of the huge surface area to be covered. Do I have a large? No, this is just about the largest brush I have, actually. No, I see one bigger, but I will use this to get. Came to move a few things on the camera here. So this is a more sci-fi themed set. Whole thing is sculpted by hand. I will eventually update to CAD software and 3D printing for my prototyping, but I don't have the room or the money to do that in my current situation, so this will be done completely by hand until that time. Do the casting myself as well. So the whole thing done by the same hands you see in every video. And this is another set where I had to start from scratch on at one point. I'm not putting in quite the amount of shading or highlighting I normally do. I'm going to be doing something a little different on this. Showing off how to do a camouflage pattern. This is actually probably going to be a long video, but the detail work is more simple. Okay. Keeping the brush extra wet on this. And there's more flaws in these than the ones I'm sending out, but generally the first couple are going to have the most flaws as the mold gets used to things, or as the mold gets, I don't know, what are the words I'm looking for? Gets used a bit, but regardless, I generally use one of the worst sets, one of the first ones for the one I paint for all the images on the box and all that stuff. So the ones I send out will be in better condition than this one, fewer flaws, etc. Okay, cleaning out my brush and I'm going to switch to the bigger one I forgot I had. Keep it nice and wet. Yeah, it's going much faster now. And this piece is heavy. Pure resin, just solid block. No assembly on this one. Just a nice big chunk to work with. And I am doing this a bit hastily, I suppose, to what I'm looking for. Combination of excitement and just trying to get this done before my wrist gets out. Now, I'm not configured for international shipping yet, but I will be eventually. Problem is the web hosting service I have only allows UPS, which I've been fairly disappointed with, since they've actually managed to lose several important packages before, which eventually did get sorted out, but it was a pain. Delivering it to the wrong address, just plain losing a package the size of a toddler, which would have been casting resin, by the way. So I'll eventually have to bite the bullet and get set up with them, but it's not something I am particularly looking forward to with my disappointment in the company. So the intent here is just a sort of prefabricated unit that can be dumped just about anywhere. Now the first 4 sets I released were kind of what I considered some basics. Moving forward, sets are going to be much more fun and interesting, I think. Every set's got a little more detail than the last, so I learned from my previous products. You need to keep the brush very wet even for the base coat with this brand of paint. And it's not the best suited for this kind of work, but again, it is inexpensive, which makes it a little more practical than a model-specific paint for large surfaces that aren't quite as detailed as typical models. I would never recommend using Liquitex for a Warhammer 40,000 War Machine or other actual miniature. But for painting large terrain, it's not bad. There might be better products, but I just happen to have a bunch of this left over from college, so I may as well use it up. And I was working on the Forests 1 Conifer set at the same time I was working on this initially, but progress was way too slow because I was splitting my focus too much, so I finished that up, the Forests first. Alright, and that's almost done. There's a little bit of a white spot here and there I'll touch up, but these are the original prototypes, so you can see the wall bulked up substantially. This eventually became the observation post. This was the original command center and the original monitor. You can see why I decided to start over with the original power generator compared to the finished one. It was going to be this radar tower that just got really ugly, and it was originally going to be a set of cargo containers to eventually covered containers to eventually ruined wall before I decided I had to start over. So, more base coats next. Okay. Next, ultramarine blue. This paint does not dry quickly, period. So, it's been almost all day. It's getting kind of a giving kind of an atypical camouflage pattern to the walls here. And this is probably going to be more than one coat. Oh, that is way, 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 way too thick. Since I only use this particular type of paint on large terrain pieces, I don't use it too often. It's easy for me to forget its tendencies, I suppose, is the best word. not be doing the lighting effects on the generator itself. Kind of an archetypical sci-fi design. Still repelling the paint there. I'm wondering if I missed a spot, but worry about it later. Right now, just getting a coat on is probably going to take a second coat, that is, to get it done right. So I want that excess that hit the gray on the base. Attempting to go for just a nice solid coat. Try to make sure I'm not dropping hundreds of frames a second on this one. So this is just going to take a lot of attention and multiple coats to get done. And again, that's the nature of this particular paint. Oh, booger there. Boy, a piece went flying. Alright, this is just gonna take a while. So will have to do a second coat off camera. But there is little sense in boring you to death. I'll stop the camera right here, finish this up, and then start recording at the next significant step. Alright, okay. Mars Black again. I'm going to thin this out into a wash, but this brand of paint doesn't thin out quite as well as the gaming paints I normally use. But again, this is about being economical with the resources I have. So let's do a shade of black over the gray. Try to do this on camera. So, thing went with 4 or 5 parts paint, 1 part water here. Okay, yeah, that's dripping, but I've got it over another piece. It's going to need this, so I was going to do one of them on camera and then hit the rest off. Otherwise, this video will be insanely long. I don't want to bore you to death. Keep my brush really, really wet here. Okay, that's got that one, so I'll apply to the rest and move on when it's dry, and this will take a few hours. Alright, titanium white again. Going to prep some lighting effects. Or should I be doing this yet? You know what? I'll be okay to do this. So, doing it as if a base coat. So this brush is a little big for this area, but it'll do. perhaps the lighting. But now, put on some camouflage with Dioxazine purple. Whoa, I'll just do one of these on camera. I think the wall, as it will effectively be the same. So, I may not be able to do everything I want to in one go, but the idea is to put a splotchy set of blocks over the base. Without covering up the entirety of that base coat. That's not too bad. Apply to the rest and move on when it's dry. Oh boy, and I've dropped hundreds of frames a second. Good grief. Okay, time to do some lighting effects. Cadmium yellow light hue. And per usual with lighting, using 2 to 3 parts water, 1 part paint. Thinning it out into a really thin wash, but we'll see how effective it is with this brand. Well, answer is not the best, not the worst, but again, this is a brand that's not that suitable to this, but it's okay. Just okay for large scale things, just because of the low cost. Cerulean blue. Oh, the flip lid was really stuck on. Alright, that should do it. Oh, one thing on the yellow I want to do is this keypad here. Get out of hand. Well, it's gonna be funky no matter how I do it, I suppose. Dang it. green light. And apparently I grabbed a tube that's almost empty. Yikes. This one's working a little better than the first two. Dang it. Alright. This is getting a little nuts for me. Let's just get this finished up. Alright. Once that dries, I can move on. One more step, I think. Alright. Alizarine Crimson Hue. And actually, I need a smaller brush for this one. And this should be fine. Okay, this is definitely going to take a second coat. I was hoping to get this set out before Thanksgiving, but it might come just after. We'll see. I'll take the amount of time I need to take to do it right, but I'm not going to rush it. Or, no, that's not the word I'm looking for. I'm not going to drag my heels. That's close to what I'm looking for. Okay, so this is going to need a second coat after a bit. But what I'm trying to do, the intent anyway, is a second pattern going against the dark violet. I was hoping this would stand out a little more, but it really isn't. Not right now anyway. Might have to reevaluate, but we'll see what happens after I get a second coat on. So back in a bit. Alright. Iridescent silver's next. Now I added another layer of the ultra blue over the camouflage pattern because it was kind of turning into hot garbage. And I think that actually helped a lot. Subdued the other colors a lot more, made them look more like they could be a fantastic, if poorly conceived form of camouflage. Now with this iridescent silver, just going to dry brush it over some areas, some dents. 2. Okay, that is not working out very well. 2. Simulate damage. And weathering. And that'll probably need another coat, so now apply to the rest. And just about done. Alright. Wrapping up. Titanium white. And just a tiny bit of Mars black. Much less than I did the first time around. And mix it all up. Palette knife. Oh boy, I'm doing this off camera because some of my parts of my palette are really wet right now from cleaning it. Okay. All right. Oh my. Now, dry brushing the result. So it doesn't dry brush quite the same as the other brands I use for actual miniatures, but it works okay. So I just need to be careful about avoiding the lighting effects. Alright, I think I salvaged that. So, completed command center. The command center itself. Reinforced landing pad. power generator, terminal, observation post, cargo container, and the barricade or wall. So, whoa, this took me a long time to get ready, and now it is. So, gonna be back to other. Oh, great, conking out. I'll be back to. Oh boy. I will be back to. Come on. Okay, are we stable? Okay. I'll be getting back to other games that could actually use this next. Until next time, I am Ian Stig with Mastermind Games. Links in the description. Signing out.